He was just a level 1 rookie, yet he killed a boss that even top experts couldn't defeat. The sight left every elite player around him utterly stunned. How did he manage to slay that steel monster? He was only a level 1 newbie. The truth was simple. This man had already relived the same day for 3,000 years. For all those years, he fought that very same boss again and again. On this day, after waking from yet another cycle, Lu Feng appeared beside his teammates. The moment he showed up, his allies quickly cast shields on him. Lu Feng shouted, "Don't run around. This boss is way too strong." With that, the party charged forward together. But the monster casually swung its arm and sent 2 of them flying. Luo Shui was seconds away from being crushed under its assault. Lu Feng yelled at Su Taodao to break his barrier. Gritting her teeth, Su Taodao risked everything and unlocked his newbie shield. Just as the monster opened its bloody jaws to swallow Luo Shui whole, a vertical slash ripped down from above, severing its arm in an instant. And the one who landed that strike was none other than the so-called rookie player, Lu Feng. Lu Feng pulled Luo Shui into his arms and dodged to the side. Luo Shui never expected that the one saving her would be this so-called rookie. With a flick of his wrist, Lu Feng hurled a shuriken through the air. In one strike, the monster before them was slain instantly. Everyone else was left completely stunned. Zhao Haishan muttered in awe. The kid's strikes were fast, precise, and every blow hit the monster's weak point. Anya frowned. Is he really just a newbie? At that moment, Lu Feng had only just leveled up to 2. He replied coolly, "Not anymore." He then warned the group that a nearby nest would soon unleash thousands of monsters. They had to leave immediately. Though shaken, Luo Shui chose to trust Lu Feng, whose strength spoke for itself. Under his lead, the team hacked their way forward, sparks and steel cutting open a bloody path. Along the way, Luo Shui asked how he could know everything in advance. Lu Feng answered calmly. It was because he'd been trapped in this world for 3,000 years. Each sunrise dragged him back to the previous day, to the very moment they first stepped into the shadow world. Luo Shui, still doubtful, demanded why he would care about their lives if that were true. Lu Feng's tone grew heavy. In countless cycles, Luo Shui had shielded him again and again. She had died for him again and again. So no matter how many times he reset, he would see her safely through. That vow was his burden and his salvation. Luo Shui's cheeks turned crimson, yet she snapped back. "Yeah, right. You lying scumbag." At that moment, the mage Su Taotao cut in, asking Lu Feng if endless fighting for 3,000 years never grew boring. Lu Feng explained that for 3,000 years, he had never been idle. He had mastered every class, every skill, and every hidden mechanic of the shadow world. He had also gathered intel from countless awakened players who had entered, learning about other shadow worlds. His existence was like a second system within the shadow world itself. He then ordered the group to keep moving across the sky bridge and never look back. Su Taotao asked nervously, "Big brother, are you leaving us?" Lu Feng reassured her, "Not until you're safe. But right now, there's something I need to handle." With that, he turned and left alone. Meanwhile, in another building, the gunslinger Lingyu was surrounded by a horde of monsters. More and more poured in, while her ammo was nearly gone. She sighed bitterly, thinking this must be her fate. Just as she prepared to give up the fight, Lu Feng dropped from above, blade flashing. With a single strike, he split the charging monster clean in half. He grabbed Lingyu by the arm. "Take the elevator down to floor 13, locker 1302. Your ammo's there. The code is 0014. With a hard shove, he pushed Lingyu into the elevator. Lingyu looked at him in confusion. "Why are you helping me?" Lu Feng answered calmly, "Because you're my comrade." Then his sword roared to life as he unleashed the lightning 5-whip combo. In the blink of an eye, waves of monsters were annihilated. 30 years later, his clear speed was finally 1 second faster. Meanwhile, the rest of the group was being chased by a massive horde of monsters. They fled desperately into a dark tunnel. Anya cried out, "No way. Did that guy set us up? We're walking right into a trap." Luo Shui kept her composure. "We don't have a choice. We can only trust him." At that moment, Lu Feng returned. He told them to keep moving forward. He would handle this. Before them, tens of thousands of monsters surged forward like a tidal wave. But Lu Feng only smiled faintly. Then he pressed a remote switch in his hand. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the entire tunnel. The group spun around and ran for their lives. They barely escaped before the tunnel was completely engulfed in fire. Lu Feng reassured them. The blast radius had been calculated with precision. Soon, he led them to a safe zone. This was the place where, in every cycle, he always parted ways with them. To ensure the goddess's safe departure, Lu Feng would repair the broken cable car every single time. After sending the goddess and her companions safely away, Lu Feng set out alone, heading toward an abandoned amusement park. There, looming before him, was the final boss of Black Ruin City, the Steel-Winged Titan. A squad of humans stood below, unloading their AK-47s in a desperate barrage. But to the Steel-Winged Titan, those attacks were nothing more than a tickle. With one casual slap, it sent the humans flying. It snatched another soldier, swallowed him whole, then slammed its iron fist into the ground. Watching her troops fall like flies, the woman in sunglasses immediately ordered a retreat. At that very moment, Lu Feng descended from the sky at a speed of 10,000 kilometers per hour. With a thunderous boom, he made his dazzling entrance. The woman shouted, "You're only level 5? What are you doing here, rookie?" Lu Feng waved his hand lightly and declared, "I'm here to end the game." The Steel-Winged Titan clearly didn't like that. Looking down at the ant-like Lu Feng, it raised its hand to squash him flat. Lu Feng stood his ground, holding nothing but a single sword. The woman sighed helplessly. That rookie's done for her. But then, a flash of light sliced through the air. With one strike, Lu Feng's blade pierced straight through the Titan's finger. Its weakest point was the joints of its right pinky and ring finger. Wounded, the Titan immediately erupted into its second form. From its back, countless steel cables shot out like whips. Yet Lu Feng moved as if he could see the future, calmly dodging every sweeping strike. In the next instant, he leapt onto the Titan's shoulder. His sword plunged deep into its armored plating. Then, riding the blade like a slide, he carved his way down. In one stroke, he severed the Titan's entire arm. The beast howled in agony, its roar shaking the ruins. And in that moment of unbearable pain, its most vulnerable control core was laid bare. Lu Feng seized the chance. His sword drove in mercilessly. Sparks crackled across the Steel-Winged Titan's body. As the giant began to collapse, Lu Feng quickly leapt back to the ground. With a thunderous crash, the battlefield shook. At last, the boss was finished off by Lu Feng's flawless combo. Everyone watching was dumbfounded. Who would believe that a mere level 5 rookie had just crushed the Steel-Winged Titan? As the smoke cleared, loot from the fallen boss shimmered into view. Stepping closer, Lu Feng saw it. A mechanical egg capable of hatching a Steel-Winged Titan. Its drop rate was 1 in 100,000. Yet Lu Feng felt no excitement, because every time he cleared a boss, he was forced to loop back to the previous day. Suddenly, the door burst open, and standing there was Lu Feng's little sister. She scolded him for ignoring her calls all day, saying she almost went to the police. Lu Feng pulled her tightly into his arms, for he hadn't seen his sister in 3,000 years. With warmth in his voice, he whispered, "I've missed you so much." But she pushed him away, frowning. "Don't get all cringe on me, okay?" She demanded he explain where he'd been yesterday. Lu Feng made up an excuse, saying his phone had died while he was working. Then he quickly changed the subject, promising to buy her a full set of Almighty Repair King once he got paid. That finally put a smile on her face. Afterward, Lu Feng asked her to whip up a feast. She yelled, "Fine, I'll make sure you eat till you drop." Just then, the TV caught Lu Feng's attention. It was broadcasting news about the Shadow World. Chosen Awakened entered the Shadow World to fight for survival. risking their lives for even the slightest chance to live. Yet even with supernatural powers and professions, they could not control their fate. Every so often, they would be forced into another deadly, unknown world. Legends said that only when the shadow world was completely conquered would all shadow worlds vanish forever. The one being interviewed was none other than Austin, leader of the top-ranked Awakener organization, ARC. Austin, the strongest Awakener alive, had cleared countless shadow worlds. In the interview, he vowed that one day he would free all Awakeners. Hearing Austin's words, Lu Feng burned with fury. Because only he knew the truth, Austin's real identity was that of a demon. In one of the cycles, Austin, gravely wounded, had devoured every Awakener, Lu Feng included. His true goal was to use the identity of an Awakener to seize control of the world and become the one and only God. To stop Austin's sinister plan, Lu Feng knew his top priority was to build a guild of his own. Using formulas taught by a scholar in the shadow world, he calculated that the next forced transfer for Awakeners would lead them into a Cataclysm tier world. Lu Feng swore to himself. This time, he would make sure his companion survived. He was just a level 9 rookie, yet he dared to mimic the world's top elites and create his own guild. Onlookers thought he had completely lost his mind. At that moment, the guild clerk reminded him he needed to submit an A-rank item as collateral. People burst into laughter. A newbie like him probably couldn't even produce a C-rank item. But Lu Feng pulled out his family heirloom, muttering that he was so poor this was all he had left. The crowd's faces instantly froze, for in his hand was an S-rank item. The clerk then warned him, if fewer than 3 Awakeners responded within 36 hours, his registration would fail and the collateral would be confiscated. Desperate, Lu Feng quickly sent invites to his companions from the last lifetime. Luo Shui, heir of a swordmaster clan. Anya, the domineering CEO. Zhao Haishan, the battle-hardened squad captain. And even a lowly girl fresh out of kindergarten. But without exception, they all thought Lu Feng was a scammer and rejected him on the spot. Left with no choice, Lu Feng prepared to hit the streets. He needed 3 people, no matter what. Meanwhile, a gang of street punks was locked in a brawl with an international crime syndicate. Esper Shea sneered. So what if you're international big shots? My boys might be street punks, but no one lays a hand on them. The enemy growled, tired of her words, and unleashed a barrage with his machine gun. Shea raised her hands, and with sheer telekinesis, froze the bullets mid-air. Then she grabbed the man by the collar and slammed him hard against the wall. Her underlings roared in awe. Boss, you're a freaking war goddess. At that moment, Lu Feng stepped out from the crowd, calmly inviting Shea to join his guild. Shea smirked. A rookie like you? Go be crazy by yourself. Big Sis isn't playing along. One of her flashy punks cracked his knuckles, shouting that Lu Feng should prove his worth first. Without a word, Lu Feng began to charge up. His basic skill, rushing fist, blasted forward, sending several punks flying into the air. Shea's eyes widened. One punch carried that much power? Lu Feng said coolly, if you practiced 1,000,000 punches out of sheer boredom, you could do it too. Snarling, Shea unleashed her telekinesis, hurling bottles and cans at the strange man before her. Lu Feng sidestepped with ease, dodging them effortlessly. In the blink of an eye, his sword was already at Shea's throat. She shouted angrily, that was a sneak attack. It doesn't count. Lu Feng replied calmly, fine. Let's settle this with what you're best at, telekinesis. They moved to a junkyard, where Lu Feng proposed. If he toppled more cans than her, she'd have to become his follower. Shea focused her power, knocking down the 5 cans clumped closest together. Her punk underlings cheered. Boss, you've got this in the bag. Then it was Lu Feng's turn. His eyes flared wide open. With a single move, mental interference, waves of psychic energy shot out like beams. Every can in sight crumbled instantly under his power. Shea was completely shaken. How the hell is mental interference, that trash skill, this strong? Seeing Lu Feng as a true powerhouse, she declared she'd follow him. but only if he taught her how to wield telekinesis at a master's level. Lu Feng agreed without hesitation, promising, "I'll make you the queen of espers." With a wave, he bid her farewell. He had secured the first recruit for the Dawn Guild. At the same time, the assassin Ling Yu had also been brought into the guild. Lu Feng's third target was the extraordinary awakener, Li Shujun. By now, Li Shujun could no longer contain his rage. A dark shadow slowly seeped out of his body. In an instant, it claimed the life of a man nearby. The other two screamed "monster" and bolted in terror. But the Nightmare Fox was too fast, snatching one of them down with a single swipe. The last man stumbled into a shopping mall. The Nightmare Fox barreled in right after him, tearing through the entrance in a frenzy. Shoppers inside screamed and scattered in panic. Moments later, the fox burst out the other side of the mall. With one bite, it swallowed the fleeing man whole. Fueled by fresh blood, the Nightmare Fox instantly went berserk. Li Shujun collapsed to the ground, screaming in agony. Why is this happening? The beast, fully out of control, launched into a massacre across the streets. Then, a sharp whistle rang out. The Nightmare Fox froze, its gaze shifting toward the sound. The one who called it was Lu Feng. He leapt high into the air, diving straight at the Nightmare Fox. The bystanders scoffed. Lu Feng was only level 9. Facing the Nightmare Fox alone was nothing but suicide. But what they saw next left them stunned. No matter how fast the beast struck, it couldn't even brush the edge of Lu Feng's clothes. For in thousands of cycles, Lu Feng had used the Nightmare Fox as his personal training dummy for evasion. He knew this fight had to end quickly. The longer it went on, the more berserk the beast would become. He suddenly turned and baited the fox into chasing him. From aside, Li Shujun shouted, "Run! It'll kill you." Instead, Lu Feng dashed straight toward him, scooping him up. A massive claw came crashing down. But just as it was about to crush Li Shujun, the strike froze in midair. The Nightmare Fox's body dissolved into shadows, then re-entered Li Shujun's body, ending the danger. Gasping, Li Shujun muttered, "Thank God it recognized me." But Lu Feng corrected him, "It didn't recognize you. The beast is you." He explained that when Li Shujun first entered the shadow world and was attacked, his level 1 self had split the creature off from within him in a desperate act of survival. Li Shujun broke down in tears, horrified at the truth. Lu Feng continued, "You have terrifying potential, but if you can't control it, one day this entire city could be destroyed by your hand." He placed a hand on the boy's head and reassured him, "I know you. You endure hardship, and deep down, you want to be a hero." Li Shujun's face flushed red. How could you know that?" Lu Feng smiled. "Because we're comrades who've lived and died together. Join my guild, and I'll teach you how to control your other self." Yet here he was, just a level 9 rookie, mocked as shameless for daring to join a raid team full of elites. The bald-headed captain sneered, "Don't be stupid. The only one qualified to join is that level 24 Esper by your side." Shea cut in coldly, "He's my boss. If he's not in, I'm not in." The crowd erupted. A level 24 Awakener calling a rookie her boss? She must have taken him as her boy toy. The bald captain sighed and shrugged. "Fine. We're short on numbers anyway. You're in." The team gathered before the portal. Then they stepped through, heading toward their next shadow world. The moment the bald-headed captain emerged, he was stunned speechless by the sight. Icy winds howled all around. They had arrived at a D-rank shadow world, the gray ice field. The group descended the slope and paused to rest near a small grove. Suddenly, a beautiful ice butterfly drifted over, catching the attention of several women. One of them reached out to touch it. In an instant, her hand was frozen solid. A sharp crack followed, and her entire palm shattered. The mage immediately unleashed fire magic, burning down the deadly butterfly. The bald captain barked at everyone to stay sharp. But in the blink of an eye, hundreds of crystalline butterflies swarmed in from every direction. Panic spread, and the group scattered. Anyone brushed by the butterflies instantly became an ice statue. Lu Feng spoke up. This is the basin of phantasm butterflies. They're drawn to heat. If you linger, soon you'll face an ocean of wings. The bald captain ordered a retreat, but Lu Feng and his followers stood their ground. Shea's eyes gleamed with excitement. Boss, we're not leaving? I get it. There must be treasure here. We'll hog it for ourselves. But Lu Feng shook his head. Not our treasure. Yours. Then he ordered Shea to use the ice butterflies as training targets for her telekinesis. Shea snapped. Boss, are you insane? You want me to practice on monsters this deadly? Lu Feng remained calm. For this training, you may only use telekinetic blasts, and only one at a time. He demonstrated on the spot, condensing psychic force between his palms. In an instant, countless beams erupted, wiping out a whole cluster of crystal butterflies. He told Shea she could already compress her telekinetic bullets to the size of a grain of rice, and that through constant compression, her control would sharpen. The second lesson, learn to control the trajectory of each shot. Shea shouted in frustration. Easy for you to say. You think I'm you? She tried compressing a blast, but it shot wildly off course. Lu Feng ordered Shea to slay 2,000 ice butterflies for her first round of training, and every missed shot would add 2 more to the count. With that, he leapt away, sprawling casually across a tree branch. Teacher's taking a nap. You go ahead and practice. Shea was left shivering in the icy wind, all alone. Faced with countless butterflies, she screamed, Boss, let's just run. But Lu Feng stayed calm, tossing her a potion. Drink this. Shea hesitated for a moment, then gulped it down in one go. Instantly, the swarm scattered in all directions. Shea blinked in shock. What is this, an invisibility potion? Lu Feng explained, just an F-rank heat suppressant. It lowers body temperature, so you won't trigger a butterfly swarm. Shea gawked. Boss, you actually prepared this ahead of time? Did you already know we'd end up in the gray ice field? Normally, the Shadow Gate only shows a level rating. What lies beyond is unknowable to awakeners. But Lu Feng knew, because he was practically 99% of the Shadow World system itself. Over 3,000 years of cycles, he had gathered information, patterns, and formulas that let him pinpoint any Shadow World he wanted. Meanwhile, on the other side, the other squad was being slaughtered. The bald captain cursed, complaining there were too many ice element monsters. Suddenly, a thunderous crash shook the ground. The arrival of an elite-class Void Ripper. Its power was overwhelming. Even high-tier mages couldn't stand against it. With one hand strike, it cut down a mage instantly. More Void Rippers surged in, sending the squad into a panicked retreat. In moments, only 2 members remained alive. Cornered with no way out, the bald captain roared and charged, raising his greatsword for a desperate last stand. But in a single motion, the Void Ripper's blade pierced through him, leaving only a trembling girl behind. The terrified girl dropped to her knees, sobbing as the blade closed in to take her life. At the last instant, a sword strike cleaved down from above. The hero arriving was none other than Lu Feng. In midair, he unleashed a barrage of sword chi, exploding with terrifying force. Then, with a lightning-fast combo, he shredded the mantis swarm into pieces. The girl stared in disbelief. Is he really just a level 9 rookie? The last mantis panicked and tried to flee. Lu Feng smirked and hurled a spinning slash. SHHK. The mantis's head went flying. The girl thanked him breathlessly for saving her life. Lu Feng replied coolly, No need. Saving you is incidental. I've got other business. He picked up the mantis head and tossed it off the cliff. The girl asked, puzzled, What are you doing? Lu Feng answered flatly, Bait. A rumble shook the ground. A massive centipede burst out from beneath the earth. The girl gasped. You lured out a final boss? Lu Feng stayed calm. There's more than one. The ground split wide open. Another colossal monster clawed its way out. They were the final bosses of this world, the frost centipedes. The girl trembled in terror at the sight of such overwhelming creatures. But Lu Feng said calmly, If you want to live, step back. Just watch me perform. The monsters roared in fury at his arrogance. In an instant, countless icy spikes shot forth, aiming to tear him apart. Lu Feng didn't flinch. With one swing, he shattered the incoming barrage. More spikes rained down in a deadly storm. Lu Feng timed it perfectly, leaping high to evade. Twisting through the air, he landed atop the frost centipede's head. The girl's jaw dropped. This rookie is insane. Lu Feng drew his longsword. He drove it straight into the monster's energy core. A violent shockwave burst out instantly. The frost centipede howled in agony. Its sibling lunged forward, maw wide open. Lu Feng pressed his blade down with brutal force. The attack faltered, the beast's mind clouded, and it missed him completely. Instead, it crashed hard into the ground. The girl was dumbfounded. This rookie's skill was beyond belief. The centipede's thrashing split the earth wide open. Lu Feng plunged down the cliff along with the beast. Yet he never let go, his sword still buried in the glowing core. Using the force of their fall, he carved a 10-meter gash, killing one of the bosses outright. He then leapt toward the second boss. His blade sank deep, followed by a spinning slash. In the blink of an eye, both final bosses were slain, their deaths shaking the battlefield with a thunderous roar. As the smoke cleared, Lu Feng stood tall atop their corpses, face calm and unreadable. A system prompt echoed. Obtain B-rank item / Frostblade. Attack have a chance to freeze enemies. Lu Feng grinned inwardly. Its power rivaled even A-rank weapons. With the final bosses down, the portal to exit this shadow world slowly opened. The girl whispered in awe, "That reckless rookie, he actually did it." A surge of energy swept through, teleporting everyone out. Only 3 survivors remained. Shea asked eagerly, "So we're heading straight to the next shadow world?" Lu Feng shook his head. "Rest for 2 days. I've got things to handle." The next day, Lu Feng waited at a bus stop. His goal was to recruit another companion from his past life. He knew Anya always stood by the window around this time, so he waved like crazy at her. Anya simply thought he was some creepy guy. Lu Feng sent her a message. "Pretty lady, I bet you're spying on me right now." Anya scoffed, thinking anyone could make that guess. But then came his next text. "It's Tuesday, so you're wearing black, right?" Anya's face flushed scarlet. "You bastard," and she immediately blocked him. Luo Shui was in Europe, Tao Tao in Japan. Zhao was missing, and the CEO refused to see him. With only 10 days left before the cataclysm, how could he get all 4 of them to join his guild and survive? Perhaps it was time for some unorthodox methods. For the first time, the man decided to take his underlings on team building. The location? A highly restricted military base. One of the boys looked around nervously. "Why is this place completely empty?" Lu Feng replied casually, "Because I hacked into the base's system and spread a message about a 15-day shutdown. Everyone evacuated." Shea snorted, half mocking, half admiring. "Boss, you're insane. There's literally nothing you can't do, except give birth." Lu Feng placed his hand on the door scanner. A chime rang out, and the massive gates of the military base slowly opened. Soon, they stepped into the astronaut simulation chamber. Shea's eyes sparkled. "Wait, are we going to Mars to fight?" Lu Feng shot her a glare. "Don't flatter yourself. We're here to train using astronaut gear." Ling Yu scoffed. "This pointless training? Count me out." But seconds later, she was hooked. After failing her first challenge, Ling Yu shouted, "Again, give me another shot. I can't survive this time." Lu Feng raised his hand. "Hold on. Let me expand the debris blast radius after the meteor explodes." Ling Yu froze. The training templates were supposed to be fixed. No one could alter them. Yet Lu Feng did it effortlessly, something even top-tier hackers couldn't achieve. Lu Feng smirked. "People pick up weird hobbies when they're bored. During my 3,000 cycles, I spent a few centuries studying spaceship design and cosmic ecosystems. To improve their mental control, Lu Feng assigned each member a tailored training mode. Survival mode meant dodging endless meteor storms, enhancing willpower, perfect for espers. Attack mode focused on destroying targets, sharpening precision, perfect for snipers. With a single command, he pressed the launch button. Training sequences fired up, throwing the three into their specialized drills. Shea went wild, blasting obstacles with everything she had. Lingyu staggered inside the simulator, shaken so hard she nearly puked. As for Li Shujun, Lu Feng assigned him both survival and attack mode at once. Steady your breathing, Lu Feng instructed. Control starts with the rhythm of your body. Half an hour later, the squad lay sprawled out, broken by the hellish training. Lu Feng stood over them. Once you've rested, keep going. Shea screamed in frustration. More! Boss, you're a devil! Lu Feng only smiled faintly. Compared to the cataclysmic shadow world ahead, I'm being merciful. To speed up Lingyu's growth, Lv.13, he resolved to grind levels like mad. This man, who didn't even like wearing underwear to bed, was also the world's ultimate part-timer. He could repair cars, fix exoskeleton gear, and even practice acupuncture with ease. But because he was too good, he stole jobs from his sister. Furious, she yelled, "You jerk! Stop covering my shifts." Lu Feng sighed. How could she complain about having such a perfect brother? Then a message arrived. It was the little lowly asking him to tutor her. With only 2 days left before the shadow world opened, Lu Feng decided to grind monsters while tutoring. Together, they stepped into a C-rank shadow world, Execution Town. Figures in the mist began to close in. Lu Feng instantly switched to combat mode. Suddenly, a dragon-like roar echoed. The mob transformed into werewolves, charging straight at him. Lu Feng unleashed Frostblade. With a single swift strike, he cut down one of the beasts. To boost his grind, he had Cao Cao cast 2 buffs on him: Silver Attribute Enhancement and Holy Blessing. With the boss modifiers stacked, Lu Feng's leveling speed became monstrous. Each kill granted 5 times the experience, and in the blink of an eye, the werewolves' corpses had piled into a mountain. At that moment, Cao Cao snapped at Lu Feng. "So, I really am just your tool. The whole tutoring thing was a lie." Lu Feng shrugged. "Got a problem?" asked. Cao Cao whipped out her notebook and threw him an extremely complex question. Lu Feng waved it off. "That's too easy. Solve it yourself." Furious, Cao Cao hurled the notebook away. "You really are a liar." Lu Feng simply told her to cast 2 more speed buffs on him. With no choice, Cao Cao obeyed, drained of nearly all her mana. The two then moved on to their next grinding spot. Ahead, a swarm of high-level skeleton mages emerged. Cao Cao asked, "So how many levels do you plan to gain this run?" 21. Lu Feng answered calmly. Cao Cao nearly screamed. "What? That many in such a short time?" Lu Feng smirked. "Just focus on your homework and keep the buffs coming." Cao Cao pouted. "Then can you solve this one for me?" Lu Feng leapt off the cliff. "No problem. Answer coming right up." The skeleton mages began chanting in unison. Bolts of thunder rained down from the sky, but none could touch Lu Feng. He weaved through the monsters with ease, striking them down as he dodged. In moments, his level shot up to 16. Cao Cao shouted, "Liar! Where's the answer?" Lu Feng called back, "Look at the mountainside." She squinted and saw a glowing pattern. It was the exact mathematical formula she had asked about. Cao Cao was stunned. This guy's a total freak. Yet this so-called rookie, only level 17, was already challenging a world-class boss, the Headless Knight. Even with 5 stack buffs, Cao Cao still doubted he could win, because one hit from the Headless Knight would mean instant death. The knight sensed an intruder, unleashing a wave of crushing aura. He raised his massive axe and swung down. Lu Feng dodged nimbly, unharmed. He countered with several swift strikes, but the Headless Knight's HP and defenses were monstrous. At his current level, Lu Feng couldn't even scratch the shield. Cao Cao's worry only deepened. But Lu Feng smirked and taunted, "You headless fool! Can you even hit me?" The insult drove the Headless Knight into a rage. The Headless Knight stomped down, shattering the ground around him. Lu Feng flipped back gracefully, landing in a safe zone. Cao Cao shouted, "Drag this out any longer, and you'll be the one suffering." Lu Feng replied calmly, "That's exactly why I brought you here." Realizing she was being used as a support again, Cao Cao rolled her eyes. The headless knight charged after Lu Feng. Lu Feng leapt onto a cliff, taunting, "Headless fool! Can you even catch me?" Enraged, the knight rammed forward, only to wedge himself between the rocks. Tao Tao cursed, "That's so dirty. You tricked him into death charging into a trap." Lu Feng ordered her to cast Pillar of Flame. A column of fire erupted, engulfing the immobilized knight. Helpless, the boss could only burn slowly toward death. Half an hour later, as its HP hit the bottom, Lu Feng stepped in with a finishing blow. His level jumped to 19. Tao Tao sneered, "Guess you slipped this time. No way you'll make it to 21 before the transfer." With no time to waste, Lu Feng returned home to convene a strategy meeting with his squad. Tao Tao was stunned. The revival wasn't random. It was triggered by the light seed Lu Feng had enchanted onto his weapon. Round 2, Lu Feng roared, charging forward, his blade flashing. With his higher stats, he swiftly cut down the boss again. A system alert chimed. All players will be transferred in 60 seconds. Lu Feng snatched up the loot. Tao Tao froze in shock. It was an S-rank rare item, the Guardian Shield, with a drop rate close to 0. Lu Feng said firmly, "With this shield, our guild's survival chances in the cataclysmic shadow world just rose by 20%. Only 3 hours remained until the cataclysm began." With no time to waste, Lu Feng returned home to convene a strategy meeting with his squad. Lu Feng said calmly, "This shadow world, if we're lucky, it's B rank. Normally it'll be A. If luck turns against us, it'll be S rank." His words made everyone break into a cold sweat. The survival rate in an S-rank shadow world was near 0. Lu Feng ordered, "No one is allowed more than 50 meters from me." Shea asked, "But aren't we still missing 3 members?" Lu Feng replied flatly, "Life and death follow fate. Perhaps their time hasn't come yet." Tao Tao cursed, "Liar, shameless. You tricked us into this." Anya cut her off. "Quiet. Look ahead." Their destination revealed itself. The S-rank shadow world, city of ice and fire. Anya's eyes widened in disbelief. That's the legendary death zone. At the city's center lay the circle of death, half frozen, half aflame, expanding endlessly. Once the circle consumed the entire city, the world itself would collapse. That was why Lu Feng had forced everyone together. This time, he swore to protect his comrades. Long ago, the city of ice and fire had been a high-tech metropolis. Its creator, Iron Star, was a mad inventor who rebuilt his body with machines in pursuit of power. But when he tried to fuse the ultimate energy core, it backfired. He lost control. Ice and fire engulfed the city, triggering the cataclysm. Lu Feng explained, "To end this disaster, we must kill Ironheart. He waits in the deadliest zone of all." With that, the squad, led by Lu Feng, marched toward the core of the city. Lu Feng led the squad into the blazing fire zone. Anya asked, "Why not take the frozen sector instead?" Lu Feng explained, "In the ice zone, your movements would slow. I can't protect everyone at once. I won't risk it. I'm in the fire zone." Lu Feng nodded. "Correct. The circle of death expands every 30 minutes. For more waves, and the world is gone." Tao did the math. 2 hours left. For 8 people to endure that long, we'll need 320 chips. The squad immediately pressed on, grinding as fast as possible. Soon, a second wave of techno-monsters descended. Tao Tao cast a team-wide critical buff. Under Lu Feng's command, the squad fought in perfect sync, cutting down enemies with speed and precision. The sniper rained down long-range fire. Li Shujun unleashed the nightmare fox to hunt. Thanks to Lu Feng's training, their teamwork flowed flawlessly. 15 minutes later, the battlefield was clear, though everyone was panting hard. Anya cried out, "We're still 30 chips short. We'll never make it in time." Lu Feng drew out a C-rank item, the Crystal Lure, designed to draw out rare monsters. He crushed it in his palm. The ground trembled violently. A massive shadow loomed behind them, radiating crushing pressure. What emerged was the terrifying lion-faced chimera. Its colossal form sent shivers through the team. But Lu Feng smiled with confidence. This beat forward, her blade glowing bright. She unleashed her ultimate skill, Judgment's Sword, with devastating force. The lion-faced chimera was split clean in two. Lu Feng picked up the loot and handed the A-rank ring to Luo Shui. Just as the two exchanged glances, a cold voice echoed from the distance. Their teammate Ling Yu had been seized by a hostile force. The intruders revealed themselves. Black Mist, a top 10 assassin guild of the Dark World. The enemy demanded Lu Feng hand over all fireproof chips, or they would kill Ling Yu. Lu Feng paused, thinking quickly. Towering higher than buildings, a monstrous figure emerged from the flames. The Apocalypse Patrol, designed to wipe out all surviving humans. Lu Feng muttered, memories onto the Apocalypse Patrol outside. That's when they noticed something strange. Standing on a kobold's shoulder was a zero feather. Slowly, Lu Feng raised the crystal golem in his hand. A surge of energy erupted into the air. The towering Apocalypse Patrol dropped to one knee, submitting to their new master. Shea screamed, "Boss, you're too damn cool. I'll be your lackey for life." Lu Feng told the squad to stay in the safe zone, while he marched the giant straight toward the final boss. Luo Shui gasped. He's the same rookie who took down the last boss in Black Ruin City. At that moment, the true body of Ironheart detected the invasion. Its defense system activated, unleashing waves of mass-produced machines. The battlefield exploded, sky filled with fire, the clash like a rain of bombs. But with the Kobold Titan's sheer endurance, Lu Feng crushed the army, though 2/3 of his giants fell in the battle. A stunned girl whispered, "This guy was barely level 10 before. How is he this strong now?" Another checked his stats, only to find he'd just reached level 21. The girl murmured in disbelief. A rookie player daring to challenge a catastrophe-class world boss? Does he think he's a god? The final battle was about to begin. Lu Feng's kobold army surrounded Ironheart's lair on all sides. With a cold command, Lu Feng ordered his minions to smash the base of the Sky Tower, drag Ironheart down to earth. The kobolds obeyed instantly, swinging their colossal hammers. The demolition crew worked in perfect order, lasers firing, walls collapsing. In moments, the towering citadel was shaking violently. With a thunderous crash, Ironheart plummeted from the sky. Its roar shook the battlefield. "Demolish my home and not pay compensation?" Then its rage exploded. "Pathetic, filthy creatures. You dare disrupt my evolution? I will erase you all." A kobold raised his battle axe and cleaved down. But Ironheart moved with blinding speed, slipping past the strike. In a flash, it appeared before the kobold and drove a brutal punch forward, with its powered armor and rocket boosters amplifying its strength. The blow landed like a meteor, hurling the kobold 10 meters away. Lu Feng's Kobold Legion crumbled instantly under Ironheart's overwhelming might. Watching the massacre, the level 21 rookie could no longer hold back. He leapt forward, charging straight at Ironheart. His blade crashed against the impenetrable energy shield until a sharp crack split the silence. Lu Feng unleashed the high-frequency particle slash, tearing apart Ironheart's barrier. A stunned girl gasped. "That particle blade? It's supposed to be this world's ultimate weapon. How'd he even find it?" Lu Feng had survived 3,000 years in the Shadow Worlds. Every hidden relic, every secret treasure, he already knew them all. Ironheart roared, "Despicable human, you dare sneak attack me?" Lu Feng replied coldly, "Then let's do this fair." The world shook with a deafening explosion. Ironheart staggered, half destroyed, but its energy core flared, knitting the broken body back together. It was nearly unkillable. At that moment, the final expansion of the Death Zone began. Restored once more, Ironheart sneered, "This battle is mine. In 1 minute, the Death Zone will consume everything. And when it does, only I will remain." Lu Feng drew out the mechanical egg he had incubated back in the Fire Realm. It was time to reveal his trump card. From within hatched none other than the former final boss of Black Ruin City, the Steel Wing Titan. Its defense was monstrous, Ironheart's laser barges were shrugged off like tickles. The Titan unleashed a storm of steel cables, wrapping Ironheart tightly. Piece by piece, it began tearing the machine apart. Only 8 seconds remained before the death zone expanded. Lu Feng commanded, "Now devour its core." The Titan hurled the energy core into the air, then bit down with a crunch, shattering it instantly. Stripped of its core, Ironheart could no longer regenerate and crashed helplessly to the ground. A system prompt rang out. Final boss of the City of Ice and Fire defeated. All Awakeners will be teleported in 1 minute. Yet the so-called Invincible Man's expression grew heavy, because the next teleport would send them into an unknown death world, a place where even his 3,000 years of knowledge would be useless. And this so-called loser, mocked as a forever single nobody, had somehow turned the world's dream goddess into his so-called clingy fangirl. Onlookers gasped. Wasn't she supposed to be in Europe? How'd she get here? Luo Shui had crossed half the globe, just to deliver him a single cup of hot coffee. The crowd stared in disbelief, some shouting, "No way. He probably begged that coffee like a street beggar." Lu Feng stayed calm. "You're late." He motioned for Luo Shui to sit beside him. The sight of the goddess sitting so close to this so-called loser sent the crowd wild. Phones whipped out, videos uploaded straight to YouTube. Lu Feng muttered, "Meeting you in the real world is such a hassle." Luo Shui quickly apologized. "I never thought it would turn out this way." Suddenly, he grabbed her hand and pulled her out of the chaos. They ducked into an alley. The stench of garlic from Lu Feng's breath made Luo Shui's face burn bright red. Outside, the crowd frantically searched for their missing goddess. Moments later, the streets finally fell quiet. Luo Shui asked, "So what's so important that you dragged me out here?" Lu Feng smirked, "You'll know soon enough." Soon, a van sped down the road. Since Lu Feng still didn't have a driver's license in the real world, he forced Luo Shui to be his driver/sidekick. Luo Shui asked helplessly, "Where are we going?" Lu Feng replied, "My class reunion. You'll need to pretend to be my girlfriend." Luo Shui shouted in frustration, "But I've never even dated anyone." Lu Feng shrugged. "We've been married 10,000 times across the loops already." To coax her, he promised to teach her the final strike of the Luo family 5/ combo. Reluctantly, she agreed. But shameless as ever, Lu Feng added, "When we meet my classmates, tell them you chased me, I rejected you, and you begged until I gave in." Luo Shui, desperate for that sword technique, actually shouted it out loud on the street. Unfortunately, 2 of her diehard fans happened to pass by and froze like statues. One of them smashed his phone on the ground, screaming, "The goddess Luo Shui, reduced to a simp?" Soon, they arrived at their destination, the largest Awakeners trading center in all of Asia. The place buzzed with noise, filled with powerhouses. Lu Feng whispered, "The class reunion was a joke. I really brought you here because the auction requires a high-level Awakener's ID. I need you to get me in." Together, they stepped into the grand auction hall. Lu Feng spread his hands innocently. "I don't have money. You'll have to cover me." Luo Shui sighed, "Fine. Today, I'll just treat it as sponsoring you." Nearby Awakeners exploded with envy. "Damn it. Why can't I be the one living off the goddess?" A shady merchant tried to scam Lu Feng, seeing him as an easy mark. Original price, 99,998. Today, only 998. Take this mechanical cube home. But Lu Feng still shook his head. Too expensive. The merchant grinned. "Fine, 1,000 Awakener coins for one chance to unlock it." Lu Feng casually turned to his walking ATM, Luo Shui, and had her pay. The merchant smirked. Countless puzzle masters had failed to unlock this cube. In the blink of an eye, Lu Feng solved it effortlessly. What emerged wasn't junk. It was a treasure vault key from the shadow world, worth as much as an S-grade artifact. The merchant panicked. "I'm not selling this anymore." Lu Feng flicked his sleeve with disdain. "Do you even know who paid? If the goddess Luo reports you, your Awakener license is gone." The merchant froze, helpless. Afterward, Lu Feng went on a buying spree, sweeping up piles of cheap low-tier gear. Luo Shui asked in disbelief, "Why buy so much trash?" Lu Feng smirked. "You'll see soon." Moments later, the auction host announced a 15-minute special private auction. The initiator? None other than Lu Feng, using Luo Shui's name. Instantly, representatives of the world's top guilds flooded the hall. Lu Feng declared, 5 items from the private collection of goddess Luo Shui. The first, a B-grade dagger, Shadow Fong. The hall erupted in laughter. What kind of garbage is this? Even a rich brat, wealthier than a Qatari prince, scoffed, worthless junk. Many prepared to leave in disappointment. But Lu Feng raised his voice. You all know shadow artifacts can hide secret properties. Every single item here carries a hidden ability. A man in a leather jacket sneered. Yeah, right. You expect us to believe this broken dagger has one? Lu Feng only smirked. The next instant, he vanished from sight. He reappeared behind the leather-clad man. The dagger's hidden power revealed. Stealth for 1.5 seconds, up to 6 times. The assassin players in the crowd stirred. This was the perfect tool for them. Bidding erupted in a frenzy. Shadow Fong finally sold for 5 million Awakener coins. Without missing a beat, Lu Feng unveiled the second item, a C-grade cloak, Gale Mantle. The crowd scoffed again. Lower grade now? What a scam. Lu Feng replied calmly. Its hidden trait lets you see spirits. In ghost-type shadow worlds, it can mean the difference between life and death. Starting price, 1 million. As expected, chaos broke out once more as bidders fought tooth and nail. At that moment, an elder from the Huaxing Guild raised her hand and casually dropped 15 million to snatch up the Gale Mantle. The third auction item was tied to class advancement. Lu Feng explained, this crystal skull shard could replace the rare A-grade item, the Chalice of Might, required for a warrior's level, 50 promotion to Ultimate Warrior. Starting bid, 5 million. With it, a warrior could be elevated into a near-unstoppable powerhouse. Guild leaders fought fiercely, the bidding war turning chaotic. Finally, a childish voice cut through the noise. It was the Icebreaker Guild's young prince, who boldly threw down 35 million to secure it, forcing the rest to concede. Lu Feng grinned. And now, the finale. Items 4 and 5 come as a bundle. The first, Ring of Arcana, hidden trait, instant spellcasting. The second, Frostflame Elixir, hidden trait, instantly restores full mana. Starting price, 10 million. As rare mage artifacts, the bids flew high. Each increase a staggering 10 million. In moments, the price rocketed to 60 million. Lu Feng asked calmly, any higher? The Huaxing Elder was ready to claim victory. But suddenly, the world's #1 guild, ARC, stepped in with a jaw-dropping 75 million. The Elder had no choice but to concede. Lu Feng bowed with satisfaction. This single auction had filled his coffers beyond belief. Yet his true purpose in buying high-end gear was not for himself, but to strengthen his team. Mage Su Tao Dao received the Soul Binder Ring, capable of instant casting mid-tier spells 20 times. You're actually generous for once, she smiled. But when she discovered the money came from Lu Feng hacking her account, she exploded. You scummy hacker! Stingy bastard! Warrior Zhao Haishan was given the gravity chip, which could stack crushing weight onto his axe strikes. Esper Li Shujun obtained the Berserk Crystal, letting his shadow beast enter an overdrive frenzy instantly. Sniper Ling Yu received the Widow's Kiss, a deadly toxin-coated weapon that dealt double damage against colossal beasts. Just then, Lu Feng's door swung open. An assistant said, President and doesn't like to be kept waiting, urging him to hurry downstairs. Lu Feng replied with complete indifference, stop rushing me. When I marry your boss, the first thing I'll do is fire you. Moments later, he slid into a stretch Rolls-Royce. President and spoke calmly. I'm helping you this time to repay what you did in the City of Ice and Fire, and to thank you for the artifact with lightning effects. Lu Feng muttered inwardly, that shoddy C-grade knuckle I tinker with on the street? That counts as a treasure. Soon after, aboard his private jet, They arrived at a mysterious excavation site. Dozens of workers were digging feverishly. The foreman reported, "We've reached the lowest level." The assistant frowned. "Are you sure this is the place?" President and invested a fortune here. Lu Feng pulled out the mechanical cube he had bought at the auction. The cube disassembled itself, its pieces merging with the ruins. A gate of shadows materialized before them. Lu Feng leapt in without hesitation. "Stay here. I'll be back." He landed in the Sage's Tower, an A-rank shadow world. Before him stood a man dressed like a genie, who asked, "Young one, why have you come?" A second figure in black appeared. "Awaken one, state your demand." Lu Feng answered flatly, "I came to the Sage's Tower because it's the only place where one can claim a hidden class." The black-robed man warned darkly, "The death rate here is 85%. The white-robed figure raised his staff, summoning visions of countless hidden classes. Without hesitation, Lu Feng pointed. "I choose the classless one." Both figures froze in shock. For classless was the tower's most brutal trial, and failure meant absolute erasure. The white-robed man gestured to a massive gate. "Enter. Your trial begins now." Watching Lu Feng's fading silhouette, the black-robed man sneered. "This foolish rookie. If he survives the first test, I'll gladly call him master." As Lu Feng stepped into the trial gate, no one believed in him. The man in black even wagered the rookie wouldn't survive the very first round. Lu Feng entered the sky arena. A system prompt echoed. "Trial of strength begins. Challenger, prepare yourself." A colossal cyclops, taller than a building, emerged. The first task: defeat a monster whose strength never fades. With a deafening roar, the giant swung its hammer down at Lu Feng. Boom! The ground exploded, shattering into fragments. Lu Feng fought while retreating, tried to lure the Cyclops toward the arena's edge. The black-robed figure sneered. "Idiot! That beast is too cunning. The last fool who tried that. His grave's grass is already 3 feet tall." Suddenly, instead of retreating, Lu Feng lunged forward at the edge. His sword drove straight into the Cyclops' eye, instantly unleashing Frostblade. Blinded, the Cyclops swung its hammer wildly. Furious, it crushed the frost crystal lodged in its eye. With its vision restored, the giant immediately locked onto Lu Feng. Roaring, it charged straight at him. Lu Feng unleashed Frostblade, freezing the entire arena floor in an instant. The barefoot Cyclops slipped violently, losing its balance. Lu Feng seized the chance and delivered a brutal kick. The massive creature was sent flying out of the arena. Boom! The Cyclops plummeted from midair, crashing into the abyss below. Just like that, Lu Feng cleared the first trial with ease. The man in white was stunned. Brilliant! He actually beat the giant this way. But the man in black only sneered. "Humph. If he passes the second trial, I'll swear myself his servant for life." At that moment, Lu Feng stepped into the portal for the second stage. The next trial, speed. He would have to race against the wind spirit Sylph and win. With every step, Sylph stirred up devastating storms, and one misstep meant falling straight into the cursed abyss. The black-robed figure smirked. The wind spirit reaches sonic speed in 5 seconds, then gains another 5% every 10. Even if he were a master assassin maxed in agility, he wouldn't stand a chance. The countdown began. 3 seconds. Lu Feng steadied himself, ready to sprint with everything he had. Sylph sneered, "Pathetic human. Racing me is like a snail challenging the storm. This is an insult to my speed." The race started, yet instead of running, Lu Feng drew his blade, unleashing a high-frequency particle slash. In a flash of steel, Sylph was cut down on the spot. The man in black exploded with Lu Feng had solved them in just 46 seconds. Within half the time limit, he had already cleared 5 puzzles. The 2 guardians were stunned. What is he, a machine? Finally, at 10 minutes 20 seconds, Lu Feng solved all 8, breaking the all-time record. He hadn't relied on skills, only his hands and his mind. After all, in 3,000 years of endless loops, he had practiced these puzzles countless times, until he could solve them with his eyes closed. Finally, Lu Feng arrived at the last trial, the perception test. The challenge: defeat every class of human in the shadow world. Alone, he would face an army of millions. As the wave of pursuers surged toward him, Lu Feng didn't hesitate. He ran. The man in black sneered. Pathetic. The more he runs, the worse his death will be. Lu Feng slipped into a dense forest. The hunters crept forward carefully. Click! One of them stepped on a mine. Boom! The explosion wiped out the entire squad. It was one of Lu Feng's traps, laid long before. And that wasn't all. He had Tesla coils to fry his enemies, and the deadly Shaorong autogun to mow them down. The Guardians gasped. It's like he knew the rules of this game before it even began. But the army was endless, and Lu Feng's tools eventually ran dry. More and more classes swarmed in, blocking every path. Lu Feng turned and sprinted again, refusing to stop. He reached the top of a mountain ridge. The man in black grinned wickedly. It's over. On that peak, he'll be slaughtered like an animal. Lu Feng muttered, a true hunter always appears as prey. The mountain erupted in a deafening blast. With his pre-planted mountain-breaking bombs, Lu Feng obliterated the pursuing army in one strike. With the field clear, he hunted down the mastermind behind the trial. One swift strike, enemy down. A system chime rang out. Player has successfully cleared the perception test. The man in black roared furiously. The jobless one is the highest hidden class. To claim it, you must wager your life. At that moment, Lu Feng stepped back through the portal. The man stood high on the stone steps, glaring down. Welcome to the final hidden trial, he sneered. A one-on-one duel, with me. His body suddenly twisted, morphing into a massive black dragon, its roar shaking the heavens. A blazing energy cannon erupted from its jaws. Lu Feng instantly raised a towering ice wall, blocking the attack head-on. But cracks spread quickly. The wall was melting. With a powerful beat of its wings, the dragon soared into the air. Countless fireballs rained down, shattering the ground below. Yet Lu Feng's movements were lightning fast. Not a single fireball could touch him. The black dragon thundered, "Challenger, stop this pointless struggle." The beast let out a blood-curdling scream and crashed to the ground. The earth shook violently as dust and rubble exploded into the air. Under Lu Feng's brutal electric therapy, the dragon was knocked out cold. A system prompt echoed. Final trial of the jobless class. Cleared. The old man in white declared, "Congratulations, young one. Out of tens of thousands, you alone have completed the jobless trials." With a wave of his staff, he bestowed hidden rewards upon Lu Feng. S-Class item, Summoning Emblem, allowing him to call forth any foe he has battled before. Exclusive skill, Seal of the Mind, preventing anyone from reading his memories. And in this world, the most terrifying boss wielded exactly that power, mind reading. With this skill, Lu Feng could finally grow stronger in silence, hidden from prying eyes. Returning to reality, Lu Feng joked to the secretary, "Once I marry your boss, I'll double your salary." Then, grinning, he added, "But first, order me hot pot. Put it on your CEO's tab. She's got more money than she can spend anyway." The secretary sighed, but complied. Back at home, Lu Feng lounged comfortably, savoring the free feast. Suddenly, he received a message from Su Tao Tao, inviting him to play Arena of Valor. Lu Feng replied, "The real world won't be safe much longer. If you want to play a game, come with me to London next week. We'll play a real one." His reason for dragging his companions into a security test was because this mission concerned the very future of all Awakeners. Upon arriving in London, the group boarded a black van. Xiaya frowned. "Where exactly are we going?" Lu Feng's gaze hardened. "We're here to protect someone. Someone far more important than the Prime Minister. Their life or death will decide the fate of this entire world." The black van pulled up outside an abandoned warehouse. Lu Feng led his team inside the hall. Among the competitors stood the notorious Light Eaters, ranked top 10 in the world, and the crowd favorite, the legendary guild Sky Shield. Soon, The sound of synchronized footsteps echoed. A group of masked figures entered. Their leader announced coldly, "Welcome to the selection. You are all elites of the security world. Your trial begins now." He pointed behind him. "The first stage requires you to pass through one of these 3 doors. The first 10 teams to reach the sanctuary will qualify for the second round." A countdown began, and the test officially started. Outside the doors, competitors hesitated, unsure which path to choose. The Light Eater's Pathfinder stepped forward. He pulled out a dice, tossed it high into the air. It landed, showing a single dot. Without hesitation, the Light Eaters charged into the first door. Their flashy move left nearby squads dumbfounded. Sky Shield then made their move. They split into 3 groups, each collecting info before regrouping. Only 1 minute remained to choose. Xiaya asked nervously, "Boss, which one do we take?" Lu Feng remained calm. "We'll move once we have a full map." Li Shujun frowned. "Wait, you think the organizers will hand us one?" Lu Feng smirked. "No need. I'll draw it." He pulled out several wing drones. The drones zipped straight through the portals. These were B-class hollow-scanning nanobots, perfect for mapping. While other squads groped blindly in the maze, the nanobots had already completed the full scan. A massive, twisting labyrinth appeared before Lu Feng's team. Xiaya gasped. "This place is huge." Zero Feather noticed the maze kept shifting its structure. Lu Feng stayed unfazed. "I've solved over 100,000 mazes. With a map like this, I could lead you blindfolded." Xiaya cheered. "No thinking required. Perfect." A nearby assistant whispered, "Chief, doesn't this count as cheating?" The supervisor chuckled. "The rules don't forbid it. And who knows? These rookies with zero security experience might make the game far more interesting." Yet the assistant still doubted that these rookies could pass. After all, the maze was full of deadly traps. Even with a map in hand, it wouldn't guarantee survival. Meanwhile, the Light Eaters, with their seasoned experience, had already located the first exit. The dice-throwing veteran smirked. "The next team won't get here for at least 2 hours." But then came the sound of playing cards. Lu Feng's squad was already at the exit, bored enough to play poker. The Light Eaters froze in shock. A girl snapped at her Pathfinder, "Jack, didn't you say only we could get here this fast?" Lu Feng turned back calmly. "Hello, I'm God." The girl scoffed. "Cheating you at a first place won't save you. You'll get eliminated later anyway." Lu Feng shrugged. "We'll see who gets eliminated." Then, his squad entered the second trial. A glowing sphere materialized before them. "I am an AI designed to safeguard the target's brain. This stage is mine to oversee. Your task, protect my core body." Li Shujun asked, "Is your core a scientist?" The AI replied, "Access denied." It continued with the first question. "Based on my profile, how much do you know?" Lu Feng answered smoothly, "Your name is Eileen. You're not just an AI developer, but also a Shadow World scholar. By merging AI algorithms with Shadow formulas, you've begun predicting the Shadow World's evolution and how it will impact reality itself." The sphere paused, then demanded, "Much of what you said was never made public. You gained this test slot with my grandfather's pocket watch. Tell me, what were his last words to you?" Lu Feng replied, "He dedicated his life to saving this world. He asked me to protect you, because your research holds the key to conquering the Shadow World." He warned, "As humanity conquers the Shadow will invade reality. Time is short, and he said you're not a tool. You're his beloved treasure." As Lu Feng reached to touch the sphere, an error alert blared. The AI snapped, "Entrusting you, a non-specialist, is a major risk to my core." Just as it was about to fail him, the system suddenly glitched, then declared him passed. Lu Feng chuckled. "Your core received my message, didn't it? That's why the override command came." The AI was stunned. "How did you know? Did you plan all of this from the start?" Lu Feng smirked. "I've studied AI for decades. To me, AI is just a digital tool. I don't need to convince you. I only need to reach the human behind you." The squad headed toward the conference room. Inside, other teams stared in disbelief, whispering, "How did a bunch of rookies even qualify for this mission?" The masked man announced, Your task is a 7-day bodyguard operation. For 1 week, the target's safety must be absolute. The mission site, a massive interstellar cruiser bound for the Pan-Asia space station. As stunning attendants walked by, Xiaya whispered, "Boss, let's go flirt. I'll be your wingman and land us some girlfriends." Lu Feng smirked. "Finally, you're learning." The cruiser was practically a flying city, packed with entertainment facilities. Lu Feng reminded them, "We're in economy class, and even that ticket costs nearly 10 million. Xiaoya's eyes sparkled. 7 days of food, drinks, and fun. I'm going to live like a king. With that, the ship officially launched. Lu Feng led his team into their assigned quarters. 6 sleeping pods, 1 shared bathroom. Li Shujun gasped. "Wait, the shower is communal." Lu Feng shrugged. "Relax. Every world has something new to show you." Just then, Zero Yu casually began stripping. Lu Feng panicked, covering Li Shujun's eyes. "Kids shouldn't see this." Xiaya groaned. "Seriously, boss?" Zero Yu sang. "I love showers. They keep my skin smooth." She didn't even bother to close the door. Xiaya shouted, "At least set it to privacy mode." He turned to complain to Lu Feng, but the man was already gone. Lu Feng was outside, standing alone in the corridor. He requested a meeting with the AI's core body. The system denied him. "The target is under protection by Tian Shield and Light Eaters," the AI replied. "Step aside." Lu Feng smirked. "Then let's make a deal. I hold the complete passenger manifest for this cruiser. With it, you can scan every background and double your core security." The AI faltered. "That's very tempting." "Fine. 30 minutes, no more." Lu Feng then guided his squad to the lab entrance. The Tian Shield squad blocked the way, shouting, "Stay out of this, amateurs." Lu Feng calmly told them, "Check your own schedule." They froze, stunned to see they'd been auto-signed off duty. Xiaya shoved them aside. "Move it, small fries." Lu Feng placed his hand on the scanner. Inside waited the AI's true body, Dr. Aileen herself. She wasn't just the architect of the Shadow World AI system. She could even calculate the world's future evolutions. But her research had already put a target on her back. Lu Feng said flatly, "As long as I'm here, you won't die." With that, the team exited the lab. Right outside, they ran into the Light Eater squad. A smug woman sneered, "This isn't a place for street punks like you." Lu Feng smacked her on the butt without a word. Instead of anger, she actually looked excited. Her teammates instantly drew their guns, fuming. Lu Feng didn't flinch. "The handbook says any conflict cancels the contract. Want to risk it?" Grinding their teeth, the Light Eaters stepped aside. "Zero," you whispered. "You planted a tracking particle on her, didn't you?" Lu Feng smirked. "Knew you'd notice." 3 days passed in tense silence. While the squad rested in their sleep pods, sirens blared. A broadcast rang out. "Meteor impact detected." All passengers remained calm. Li Shujun frowned. "This route is supposed to be safe. The radar should have given a 3-hour warning." Lu Feng muttered. "The radar was sabotaged. At this rate, the ship will be destroyed." He ordered the squad to prepare for battle. Outside, engineers scrambled to patch the hull. Then, a deafening crash. One engineer turned and froze in horror. A monstrous alien loomed behind him, jaws wide. It swallowed him whole in a single bite. More creatures poured into the cruiser, sending passengers screaming and stampeding in panic. Meanwhile, the Devour Light organization began their move. Their true faces were finally revealed. They gunned down the gate guards without hesitation. Their objective was clear: create chaos and assassinate Lady Irene. Cutting down monsters as they advanced, they forced their way forward. Moments later, they reached the lab. The massive doors slowly slid open. Suddenly, a gunshot blasted from inside. A bullet ripped through one squad member's chest. Standing inside was Lu Feng. He smirked. Well, we meet again." The old man roared, "How are you here?" Lu Feng's voice was cold. "I dug through all your data. You're suspicious as hell. So I used nanospy particles to monitor you. Through them, I planted hypnotic commands in your bodies, making you think you were heading into the real lab." He snapped his fingers, breaking their trance. Only then did the Devour Light squad realize they were already entangled, bound tightly by the Nightmare Fox. The old man panicked, shouting, "It's a misunderstanding. We can talk this out." Lu Feng showed no mercy. "Xiaya, send them off." Xiaya unleashed a cranial blast. With a thunderous bang, the entire squad was wiped out. Afterward, Lu Feng led his team to shield Lady Irene, who was being hunted by alien beasts. The area around her lab was already swarming with monsters. Thankfully, the Sky Shield Guild arrived in time, clearing out enemies, but they were still trapped in a siege. One monstrous creature crept closer step by step. In her panic, Irene accidentally stepped on an empty can. The clatter drew the monster's attention, and it charged straight at them. The Sky Shield fighters fought desperately to cover Irene's escape, but soon, she was left completely alone. Just then, a sniper shot cracked through the air, nailing the lead beast right between the eyes. A voice rang out. "Made it just in time. Kid, it's too dangerous. Get her out of here." Hearing that, Li Shujun quickly grabbed Irene and rushed her toward the escape pod. At the same time, Lu Feng, now on the bridge, discovered that the Devour Light operatives had slaughtered all the pilots and smashed much of the equipment. He would have to repair it himself. Irene stared in shock. "Your leader actually knows how to fix a spaceship?" Lu Feng said calmly. "It's simple. A ship this size must have backup systems. All I need to do is reroute the circuits." Suddenly, the floor shook violently beneath them. The next moment, a colossal beast appeared, smashing the escape pod to pieces. It was the mother of all those monsters. Li Shujun quickly formed seals, summoning the Nightmare Fox. But the fox was no match for the mother beast. It was struck down in an instant. The backlash from his wounded spirit beast left Li Shujun reeling in pain. Thankfully, Ling Yu arrived just in time, unleashing a storm of gunfire. The barrage barely halted the mother beast's assault. Xiaya rushed in, snarling, "This ugly bastard's hide is too thick. If we can't break it from outside, then we'll blow it up from the inside." "It's fine, boss. This big one is all yours." Lu Feng answered without hesitation. "No problem. Leave it to me." With that, the evolved steel-winged titan emerged, stepping forward with a metallic roar. The mother beast unleashed another deafening roar skill. Anya and the others clutched their ears to resist the sonic shock. Lu Feng barked, "Shut it up." The titan charged, its punch blasting the mother beast backward. Then its particle cannons lit up, raining fire in rapid bursts. The mother beast shrieked and launched a fierce counterattack. The titan grappled its arms, locking in place, but tentacles coiled tightly around it, forcing it back against the wall. In an instant, the temperature plummeted as the titan unleashed its freezing skill. The mother beast was encased in ice on the spot. Lu Feng commanded, "Send it into space." Avalon immediately deployed nanoparticles, sealing the breaches in the hull. As the battle ended, Irene was drenched in sweat, blurting out the thought on everyone's mind. This lunatic, he actually seized control of Avalon's maintenance system. But her shock was premature. Lu Feng continued, "This ship can be patched, but it can't communicate outside or navigate on its own. From here on, I'll be the pilot." Irene gasped. You can fly a starship?" Lu Feng replied steadily, "I've trained for years in piloting. I even once tried flying a ship into space to escape the cycle, but I failed." He patted her shoulder. "Enough. Don't worry about it. Get some rest, and wait for me to tell you when to disembark." Irene was dumbfounded. "So, basically, the only thing you can't do is have babies? Where on earth did Grandpa find a god like you?" Out in space, the mother beast had become nothing more than an ice sculpture, drifting forever in the void. The Avalon slowly returned to stable flight. Meanwhile, Austin was somewhere else in the galaxy. Speaking into his communicator, he said coldly, "I hurled the meteor at the ship for you. Beyond that, it's none of my concern. Yes, our deal is complete. Payment of 1 million units of synthetic awakening serum will be delivered. May it help you build your artificial army of awakened. Good, because if you dare cheat me, all that awaits you is annihilation." 3 days later, after a wormhole jump, the Avalon arrived at Mars Station. Lady Irene, we've been ordered to escort you. At last, Irene was truly safe. Lu Feng urged her to develop the Shadow AI as quickly as possible. Irene whispered, I'll do my best. Together, we'll complete the ultimate conquest of the Shadow World. That moment, perhaps, would one day be remembered as the greatest turning point in history. And so, under guard, Irene bid farewell to Lu Feng. The squad had finally fulfilled their mission. Li Shujun asked, Boss, what's next for us? Lu Feng cleared his throat. This time, the Starship Company is grateful for our work. Our trip back to Earth, everyone's been upgraded to VIP, and every entertainment facility on board is now open. Lu Feng and Xiaya immediately went wild with excitement. Li Shujun sighed. Those two clowns. Ling Yu stood alone, gazing into the distance. Sister, maybe this time, I've found companions I can truly trust. I wish you could see them. 10 days after the mission, while brushing his teeth, Lu Feng received a message. It was from Irene. Her calculations showed that the first Shadow World incursion into an Earth city would happen within a week, though the exact location was still unknown. Since the Shadow Gates appeared, countless awakened had risen, venturing inside to grow stronger. But in truth, the Shadow World could also invade humanity's world. To be precise, creatures from within a Shadow World could burst through the gate and wreak havoc on Earth. Time was running out. Lu Feng knew he had to accelerate his growth. The enemies ahead would only grow more terrifying. For him, survival came first, which meant he needed a supreme defensive treasure to maximize his chances of staying alive. And so, Lu Feng began choosing which Shadow World could grant him the supreme armor. Moments later, he made his decision. Outside one Shadow Gate, crowds of Awakened had already gathered. Suddenly, a car came screeching to a halt. Anya stepped out, looking visibly annoyed. She shouted back into the car, Stop sleeping. Get out already. Inside, still dozing, was none other than Lu Feng. The Awakened nearby recognized him at once. Not for his strength, but for his nickname, the Kept Man. After his date with the goddess, now even a CEO was acting as his wake-up call. Talk about shameless. Lu Feng looked around, confused as to why everyone was staring at him. Whispers rippled through the crowd. I heard their squad survived the S-Class catastrophe in the city of ice and fire. The guy's useless, but the girl must be strong. So why the hell are they here in a D-Class Shadow World? Just then, the Shadow Gate swung open. Anya kept grumbling. It's bad enough you dragged yourself to a D-Class world out of boredom, but why force me along? My workload's about to crush me. Lu Feng replied casually, Relax. The world could end any day. Why stress about work? Come on, you're overworked. Let me take you out for some fun. Once inside, they saw a wasteland of ruins. The difficulty wasn't high. The only threat was the looming sandstorm. If they could reach the great ship in the south and hold out until noon tomorrow, the boss of this world would be burned alive by the scorching sun. Fail, and the sandstorm would bury everyone alive. The Awakened wasted no time, sprinting toward the ship. But Lu Feng didn't move. The treasure he sought lay hidden beneath the sands. Pulling out a shovel, he told Anya, All right, your turn to work. Anya groaned. So you dragged me all the way here just to dig sand for you? Lu Feng explained, I need my brain to calculate the coordinates. The grunt work is yours. But if you help me, I'll give you an A-rank rare Heart of the Fist King. That hit Anya's weak spot. She'd been hunting for that item for ages. Once again, Lu Feng had her dancing in his palm. He began directing her like a foreman. Next spot, 10 o'clock, 100 meters. Anya muttered while digging. You maniac. No pity for women at all. Treating me like a laborer. I spent a fortune and years sculpting this body at the gym. It's not for shoveling sand. Before she could finish complaining, a horde of zombie-like monsters shambled straight toward her. These are mechanical zombies. This world had once been a thriving machine civilization, but after nuclear war, it became a wasteland. The monsters were nothing more than its mutated natives. As the horde closed in, Anya was about to move to another spot. But Lu Feng told her to keep digging. He would handle her safety. A fighter jet swooped down from the skies, unleashing a storm of bullets into the zombie swarm. Anya froze in shock. Lu Feng had prepared all kinds of ridiculous tools in advance. Forget 3,000 years. Even if he claimed he came from the future, she believed him now. Lu Feng snapped, "Focus on digging. Save your energy and stop yapping." After a while, Anya complained again. "You greedy capitalist. All you do is exploit me. How much longer do I have to dig?" But the communicator stayed silent. Suddenly, Lu Feng's voice crackled in. "Calling me so sweetly, what? You miss me?" Anya jumped. "Miss you? In your dreams. You vanished just now. I thought something happened to you." Lu Feng replied flatly. "Relax. Just want to take a piss." Anya was completely powerless against this shameless pervert. Lu Feng then said, "All right, you've been digging long enough. Time for the next step." His eyes shifted skyward. A drone was circling above them. It was one Lu Feng had deployed earlier, now luring the zombies back toward their position. In an instant, the drone spewed torrents of fire. The mechanical zombies were engulfed, their bodies detonating in chain explosions under the searing heat. When the flames died down, the sands revealed a buried starship beneath. All that digging Anya had done, it was to pinpoint the ship's exact location. But then the ground shook violently. Within the storm appeared a colossal human face, surging toward them with the sand. It was the Shadow World's boss. Lu Feng growled, "It's not safe out here. We're going down." But the starship's hatch was nowhere to be seen. Lu Feng tossed out a glowing orb. He warned, "Watch your step." The next instant, a hatch opened beneath their feet, and both of them plummeted inside. When Anya hit the ground, it didn't hurt nearly as much as she expected. She realized she had landed right on top of Lu Feng. Her face flushed bright red. Embarrassed, she asked, "So what is it you're really looking for?" Lu Feng smirked. "A supreme piece of armor, artifact-grade battle gear." Lu Feng explained, "So far, the Shadow Worlds fall into three categories: infinite worlds, which reappear endlessly; hidden worlds, which only open once; and limited worlds, which appear only a set number of times. Take this alien wasteland, for example. It only appears 3 times. The first 2 are already gone. This is the final chance." Long ago, this place witnessed a war that dragged on for ages, the final struggle between humanity and the machine civilization. Desperate, humans created an era-defining super battle suit, a beacon of hope to fight back. But it was shot down on the way. Unable to overcome the machines, humanity unleashed nuclear weapons, ending the war and the world itself. That battle suit has lain buried beneath these sands ever since. Moments later, they reached their destination. At the center floated a massive cube. That was what Lu Feng had come for. Anya asked in shock, "Why does the armor look like that?" Lu Feng replied, "It's a self-protection mechanism. Only by solving the cube's shifting program can it be activated." Even as he spoke, Lu Feng had already cracked the cube. The buried starship revealed its true form. It split into countless metal plates. The fragments converged in midair. In the blink of an eye, they assembled into a suit of armor. Anya's eyes widened. "Wait, the entire ship was the armor." Lu Feng answered, "And more than that. The armor has 4 transformation stages. A starship is only its 3rd form. In fact, during the last 2 openings of this wasteland, someone managed to claim a version of it, but only a broken husk. To awaken the true power, you need the energy core from the world boss." And now the boss loomed before them, a storm swallowing everything in its path. But Lu Feng was already prepared. The next instant, a blazing sun appeared in the sky. It was a solar reactor he had stolen from the Avalon, capable of simulating the sun's power. The reason he had vanished earlier was to set it up. Within moments, the artificial sun incinerated the boss. The sun at midnight, the awakened hiding in the great ship were completely dumbfounded. At the boss's remains, the storm gathered and condensed. It transformed into a glowing item, hovering before Lu Feng. He slotted it into the gap in the armor's chest. Instantly, The battle suit roared to life. Even Anya had to admit, Lu Feng looked damn impressive in that armor. Lu Feng immediately triggered its second transformation. But the next moment, the solar reactor exploded. Riding the armor's motorcycle form, Lu Feng escaped the collapsing world. 1 week after claiming the armor, at the Titan International Convention Center, the annual So International Medical Exchange was underway. Lu Yao's best friend reassured her, "Relax. My family's been in medicine for generations. Getting tickets to this annual medical summit took some effort. But hey, we're in, aren't we?" Lu Yao, Lu Feng's younger sister, was thrilled. Her dream had always been to study medicine, and this conference felt like a pilgrimage. On the giant screen, her idol's profile appeared. Bertha, Chief of Neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital, Professor at the University of Edinburgh School of Medicine, Doctoral Advisor for the Dawn of Doomsday Project. 10 years ago, she was hailed by medical titan Roger as a prodigy with the hand of God. Lu Yao had always idolized her. Her phone wallpaper was even Bertha's picture. Unfortunately, no electronic devices were allowed at this event. The reason? Dr. L himself would be attending. His face had never been revealed to the public, so the organizers banned all personal recording. Even official videos would blur his appearance. Dr. L was shrouded in mystery. If not for the intercity train derailment in Case City, where hundreds were injured, he wouldn't have been noticed. Assisted by AI, he simultaneously performed surgery on 74 of the most critically injured students. He had only recently entered the spotlight, taking on only the most complex surgeries. He was called the hand of God who never fails. Yet he claimed his true profession wasn't being a doctor at all, but a mysterious god of medicine. Lu Yao clenched her fists. It's because of doctors like him that I'm even more determined to pursue medicine. Her best friend suddenly mentioned Lu Yao's unemployed brother. Studying medicine is expensive. Maybe your brother could work security in my family's hospital? Stable job, good pay. Lu Yao was about to answer, "I'll have to ask my brother," when Lu Feng himself walked up. "Ask me what?" Lu Yao gasped. "Brother, what are you doing here?" Seeing him dressed in a suit, the friend assumed he was just staff and repeated what she had suggested. Lu Feng smiled politely. "Thanks, but we'll talk later. Right now, I need to say a few words. They asked me to open the conference." Lu Yao nearly fell over. "Brother, don't joke around. This is sacred ground for medicine. I respect doctors too much for this nonsense." Her friend added, "Even my dad doesn't have the privilege to speak here. How could you?" Just then, her friend's father, Sun Wenbin, director of Changgung Hospital, arrived. His daughter grabbed him excitedly. "Dad, perfect timing. I was just asking you to arrange a security job for Yao's brother." But when Sun Wenbin saw Lu Feng, he dropped to his knees. "Docteur, at last, I see you again. If you hadn't taken over that brain tumor surgery for the military official, it would have failed, and my Sun Medical Group would have collapsed. After saving us, you vanished. We've been searching for you to thank you." Lu Feng said calmly, "I only care about rare cases. Whether your family survived or not means nothing to me. I was paid for the surgery. You owe me nothing." At that moment, Bertha herself rushed over, eyes sparkling. "You're my idol. Please, let me be your student. I've studied every recording of your surgeries. Can I at least have your contact information?" Lu Feng sighed. "No, I don't take students." Just then, the host announced him to the stage. Lu Feng gave his sister a nod and strode up to deliver the opening speech. To everyone's shock, Bertha dropped to her knees before Lu Yao, begging for Lu Feng's contact. Lu Yao was at a loss. This was her idol, a prodigy she'd admired for years, now kneeling before her. As for Tian Tian, she wanted nothing more than to crawl into a hole. She had just tried to get this legendary doctor a security guard job. Soon after, Lu Feng's speech began. "It's an honor to be here today. The organizers asked me one last question. Why did I choose medicine? They said it's what everyone wants to know. My reason is simple. I wanted to operate on my sister myself. Nothing more. Yao Yao, thank you for looking after your useless brother all these years. I love you." Moments later, Lu Feng finished his speech and left the stage. Liu Yao's leg would only need some more rehab before surgery could begin. He had rushed here right after performing 5 consecutive surgeries, exhaustion pressing down hard on him. Suddenly, he remembered to check his mail, and indeed, there was one from Irene. She had calculated the next Shadow World incursion site, Tokyo, Japan. Lu Feng's face darkened. Damn it, the time had already passed. He quickly dialed Tao Dao's number, but there was no signal. Passing by a giant screen, he caught the live broadcast from Tokyo. According to frontline reporters, just 5 minutes ago, a shadow gate has opened in Tokyo. Countless monsters are pouring out, plunging the city into chaos. Tokyo's destruction seems inevitable. Lu Feng could only pray that Tao Tao would hold out until he arrived. By now, Tokyo was engulfed in smoke and fire. TV signals had collapsed. Frontline reporters were streaming live from their phones. Within just hours of the gate opening, Tokyo had fallen into ruin. Legendary yokai stalked the streets. The 8-headed serpent Orochi coiled around the skytree. Tengu circled high above Ginza. The goddess Jinnu froze all of Akihabara beneath a sheet of ice. Automated battalions rushed in from every direction, their vanguard already clashing fiercely with the demons. While reporters filmed the Tengu overhead, sudden noises erupted behind them. From beneath a nearby bridge, bubbles churned violently in the river. In the next instant, a monster resembling a kappa burst out of the water. A portly man tried to flee, but it was already too late. More kappa emerged one after another, slaughtering everyone nearby. The reporter bolted into a wrecked train car, buying himself a brief moment of safety. Outside, members of the Tokyo Bioresistance Group's 5th Squad had arrived. They spotted the reporter hiding inside the carriage and were just about to pull him out when chaos erupted. The cameraman suddenly unleashed a beam of light, piercing straight through a squad member's chest. In an instant, countless tentacles burst out of his body. They twisted into a monstrous tree hung with human heads. The reporter had been parasitized by a human-faced tree. The 5th Squad was about to throw incendiary grenades when its tendrils lashed out at the building beneath their feet. The massive structure was instantly wrapped tight. With a deafening crash, the entire building collapsed. In a blink, only the green-haired lowly was left alive. As the tendrils shot toward her, a blinding blast struck the human-faced tree. The next moment, a hand grabbed her and pulled her to safety. It was Tao Tao, arriving just in time. Thanks to her, the 2 girls escaped unharmed. Tao Tao comforted her. It's okay. We'll survive this. You'll see your grandma, and I'll live to see mine. She was lucky. She'd flown to New York on business before this happened. I'm the unlucky one. Our boss kept saying I'd face disaster this year. That liar, turns out she was right. If only she weren't half a world away, she'd save me herself. The green-haired girl added, our boss is amazing too. If she were here, we'd already be safe. But now wasn't the time to argue whose leader was stronger. They needed to think about survival. The problem was they were trapped in the deadliest zone of Tokyo, right next to the Shadow Gate, where yokai ran rampant. Their only hope was a shelter 600 meters away. If they could reach it, they might survive until reinforcements came. Beyond that, all hope lay with the commander of the Bioresistance Corps. Elsewhere in Tokyo, swarms of demons converged. A female commander had been seized by one of the monsters. Just as its jaws were about to snap shut, she pulled out a grenade and hurled it into its mouth. A thunderous explosion followed. Using the blast as cover, she swung her blade. The demon fell in 2 clean halves. The squad realized she had let herself be captured on purpose to land the killing blow. With the monster slain, the commander regrouped her troops, ready to lead a breakout. But the enemy numbers were overwhelming, surrounding them from all sides. Even so, she shouted, even if we die, we fight to the last breath. At that moment, a motorcycle dropped from the sky. When the rider landed, the squad was stunned. This man was terrifyingly strong. He looked straight at her. I came to get you. On the bike, babe. Black Island Maki snapped. You've got the wrong person. I'm no one's babe. The man replied calmly, Maki Kurishima, age 26, a mole on your left hip. In middle school, the first boy who confessed ended up hospitalized for 3 months. In your darkest secret, April 21st, 5 years ago, past midnight. The squad was dumbstruck. Their iron-blooded commander already had a man. Her face burned with fury at the public exposure of her secrets. But the man's tone was firm. Old comrade, you want to save your squad? Get on now. How do you know all this? She demanded. He shot back. No time to explain. Get on. After a brief hesitation, Maki Kurishima mounted the bike. But she still asked warily, Stranger, there are hordes of monsters out here. How do you plan on handling them? Lu Feng didn't answer. He revved the motorcycle and shot forward. His actions would serve as the only answer needed. Done. Your squad's safe now. As the yokai fell, Maki Kurishima had to admit, Lu Feng was the real deal. Still, she was baffled. They had never met. So how did he know everything about her? In truth, they had fought side by side in Blackbeard City, and those secrets were ones she herself had told him. But this version of Maki had no such memory. She snarled lies. I've never seen you in Blackbeard City. Lu Feng sighed. Hard to explain. Let's just say, in many parallel worlds, we were comrades. Want me to spill more of your secrets? Like how your ears are. Enough. Don't say another word. Maki cut him off, flustered. Lu Feng continued. I know you never owe anyone favors. I saved your squad. Now I need you to help me find someone. Maki didn't deny it. She immediately pulled up their encrypted network. With Tokyo systems down, it was the only line still working. Within moments, she tracked Tao Tao's signal, alive. Records showed she'd appeared in 5th Squad's battle logs, and even saved their member, Yui. Maki reasoned that if Tao Tao had saved Yui, Yui would have led her to the bioresistance underground shelter. But that place wasn't truly safe. It was closest to the gate of hell, swarming with demon lords. According to military intel, Tokyo had been divided into 3 zones. Lu Feng and Maki were now in the blue zone. The blue zone teamed with demon foot soldiers, with a few generals scattered among them. The red zone was crawling with demon generals, and sometimes even demon lords. And the purple zone housed at least 9 demon lords, with the possibility of even higher tier monsters. At their level, a demon lord meant running for their lives. If a myth tier appeared, Tokyo would be erased in an instant. But no matter what, Lu Feng had to save Tao Tao. Maki quickly plotted a route. Soon after, demon generals caught sight of them. Lu Feng floored the throttle, trying to outrun them. One blue-skinned general hefted an entire skyscraper and hurled it straight at them. The blue general charged at blinding speed. The red generals hurled volleys of attacks. Their barrage slowed Lu Feng's escape. They were even coordinating with each other. Lu Feng smirked. Now that's interesting. He accelerated, aiming straight at a looming skyscraper. Hold tight. The motorcycle roared up the vertical wall. The blue general followed, leaping high into the air. Let's team up, Lu Feng shouted. Maki sprang down without hesitation. A cable shot from the bike, locking her into place midair. Heaven slash. Good teamwork. Wait, you even know my technique. Of course. We're old friends, remember? The blue general was cut down, the red generals powerless to stop them. By then, they had crossed into the red zone. Lu Feng sneered. Life or death, I'll fight anyone. Maki Kurishima met his gaze, equally fierce. Fine, I'm ready. Meanwhile, in the zone Lu Feng and Maki had just escaped, another squad arrived. Master Mu Ling, are we really heading into the Hell Zone, toward the gate itself? Mu Ling replied coldly. I have no choice. To master necromancy, I slaughtered tens of thousands in a single city. Lord Austin, under public pressure, cast me out of the Ark. To return, to reclaim my place among his 12 apostles, I must do this. That's right. If you obtain the corpse of a myth-tier yokai and refine it into a myth-tier undead, Lord Austin will surely take you back. Warhammer, deal with that thing first. No problem. Leave it to me. The demon general Lu Feng had struggled so hard to shake off was obliterated in an instant. The sorceress snapped, Idiot! The body's over 50% destroyed. Master Mu Ling can't use it like this. Fortunately, the blue General Lu Feng had killed earlier was still intact. Mu Ling raised his staff and began chanting. Black mist poured from the corpse. Awaken, my servant. Mu Ling was a 1 in 100,000 Aberrant awakened. His gift had been necromancy itself. To max it out, he had butchered 3 entire cities. His goal was to enter the 100 Demons world inside the gate and claim a myth-tier undead. But that world was cloaked in toxic miasma. Even dragons could not endure it. They needed someone to purge the poison. Tao Dao, though only a level 37 mage, had fully maxed her toxin purification buff. And since she was in Tokyo, she became their perfect target. Worse still, the sorceress's class was Tracker. She had already locked onto Tao Dao's position. Without delay, they set off to capture her. Elsewhere in Tokyo, a flock of crows feasted on corpses. By a trash bin, an old security guard huddled with a lost child. The guard had found the boy separated from his parents and was trying to lead him to shelter. Soldiers patrolled the area, but ordinary troops were no match for the 3-eyed demon crows. In his panic, the child knocked over a tin can. The clatter drew the crows' attention. They swooped toward the pair. While fleeing, the boy tripped on a stone. The guard gritted his teeth and stopped running. He planted himself firmly in front of the child. Just as the crow dove, a sword light cleaved it apart. Another crow lunged for the boy. Maki Kurishima arrived in time, her blades flashing, cutting down the entire flock. The shelter was close now. Lu Feng urged them to hurry there. But the noise had already drawn more crows. Go, I've got this, Lu Feng said, motioning the guard and boy forward. He revved up the battle suit bike, shielding them as they ran. The motorcycle's missile pods deployed. In a single barrage, the demon crows were wiped out. And that was only the power of 2 forms. If he shifted into the 3rd, Starship mode, then everything would become far too easy. The old guard and the child finally reached the shelter safely. But when the elder saw the direction Lu Feng and Maki were heading, worry clouded his face. Ahead lay Rayon Shrine, now occupied by a terrifying yokai. Hundreds of soldiers had already fallen there. With the thick mist blanketing the shrine, Lu Feng abandoned the bike and chose to go on foot. The suffocating fog shrouded everything, pressing heavily on their hearts. The two quickened their pace, eager to pass through as fast as possible. Suddenly, the strange beat of war drums echoed through the haze. A soldier-like figure emerged slowly from the mist. Behind him, several more in the same garb appeared. Without hesitation, Lu Feng raised his rifle and opened fire. Maki slashed forward, joining the attack. These men were no longer human. They were corpses. The demon masks they wore were tools of control. Destroy the mask, and the body stopped moving. Soon, the corpse soldiers were wiped out. Just as they were about to rest, a bullet shot straight toward Maki. Lu Feng spotted it in time. The two charged toward the source of the shot. Clearly, a sniper was hidden in the fog. The controlled corpses still retained their combat skills. But trained enemies also meant predictable tactics. Close your eyes, Lu Feng ordered. A flashbang detonated at their feet. As Lu Feng expected, the sniper's tactics had already been read. He directed Maki to rush in the opposite direction. At that instant, a glint flashed from a rooftop. The sniper had her in his sights. Before the trigger could be pulled, Lu Feng's blade severed the man's head. Meanwhile, Maki was caught in another encirclement. Lu Feng doubled back, but the sheer number of enemies was overwhelming. He summoned his combat bike once more. Maki exclaimed, "Are you crazy? In this fog you can't even see." But she underestimated him. During the earlier fight, Lu Feng had already mapped the entire area. With auto-navigation, they could break through. Maki stared in disbelief. "Who the hell are you? You're young, but it's like you've lived 100 years, or come from the future." Lu Feng gave no explanation. He pushed the engine to maximum. Now's not the time to relax. We still haven't found the puppet master behind these corpse soldiers. Even as he spoke, a thunderous roar erupted behind them. A monstrous yokai charged in pursuit, its destructive power shaking the ground. Its strength was nearly that of a demon lord. Lu Feng slammed the throttle, pulling ahead. The sudden brake threw Maki forward, her chest slamming into him. "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" she shouted furiously. "Don't let go," Lu Feng roared. "It's still on our tail."